Alright, so I had some friends and some other people ask about different things about inputs and outputs, whether starting off on a Holley for the first time or if they're looking to expand some inputs and outputs on a Holley. They may have a IO limited Holley product like a Terminator or an HP, and just wondering, hey, how do I get some more inputs and outputs? What is an ICF? What's a custom input and output? What are some best practices and how do I do it? So first things first, an ICF is just an individual configuration. It's these right here. ICFs are your boost control, some of the things to the ECU, nitrous control, pretty much anything that you see up here. And they'll have different inputs and outputs based off this right here, rev limiter 1. Well, that's going to be like your two-step, things like that, when you hit the trans brake and whatnot. So it'll create different inputs and outputs to activate those. Boost control, your boost solenoids, if you have a master enable switch, things of that nature. Now, what is a custom input and output? Custom input and output are going to be these items right here. So a custom input and output are going to be things that, really you just create. So it's going to be sensors, switches, different things to enable whatever, or just getting data or turning stuff on with outputs. So looking at it, when is it a good time to use a ICF input and output versus when is it a good time to use a custom IO? So in ICF, you're going to have to use, you can do it other ways, but easiest way is you're going to have to use it for things like, say, boost control, things like that are controlled by these items on the ECM. Now, there's a couple of things I don't really like on the Holley that they do. Like, say the fans have those running off this ICF. This is where it's nice to use a custom output, because these right here, when you turn those on, it turns on here, it turns off there, it stays running whenever the ignition is on, and that's that. Unless you do something finicky with the relay or whatever, the Holley has it on. If you're trying to pull logs, do some tuning, it can drain batteries and whatnot. So, nice part about that is you decide, hey, let's build a custom output. You can do just exactly that. So things of that nature, you can actually just go in and put parameters like this in there, and that will build a fan output that will run pretty much while you're either driving, idling, but won't turn on when it's off, and it won't turn on whenever you're about to give it the beans and do some racing. So the IOs that are connected to the 4 inputs and outputs on the ECU, you can actually see these show up here, whether those are custom or through an ICF. Those are as simple as taking them right here. I just turned that one back on. I don't have a flex sensor anymore, but you essentially just take it and drag it, and it goes to here. Nice part is you can actually stack things through that. So say like your trans brake button, you get on the brake, you release it, certain things turn on, certain things turn off. Same with your staging input, which would be your bump. You can put scramble on it, things of that nature, whenever you are not using it and the trans brake is active. So those are nice things to use the ICF on. Output, same with that. That's going to activate the relay that activates the trans brake, so you need that there. And then, of course, your boost solenoids. Now, things like these and things like these, it's nice to have on the ECU because you want those to stream extremely fast. You want to have a tight leash on them and be able to control them effectively. I personally have not had any issues with the IO module, but I feel, the software is obviously better on my HP than what I would say is on the IO module, so I want to keep those there where I feel like it's going to be more reliable in the data header. Things like these right here, on your inputs, charge pressure, line pressure, dome. I don't like it being there, but it hasn't bitten me yet, and it's been fine. I would like to have it on the other ECU, but kind of gotta do what you can there. Coolant pressure. All these things aren't necessarily going to be life or death if they stream a little bit slower, had issues, but you most definitely want to have them hooked up right and have the data streaming correct as well. Data streaming wise, whenever you make inputs and outputs, you can actually go and tell them what to broadcast at. So this one's 25 hertz. It's my charge and line pressure broadcast at that. Makes this data actually look a little bit smoother. You don't have to have it that fast because it is constantly changing. It would look extremely squiggly on a log, I guess you could say. Now, dome pressure, that thing right there, I do have broadcasting fast. So that would be those. A lot of that follows suit. You pretty much, there's a bunch of different things that you're capable of doing I/O wise. You just have to read up on them, look at them, and go a little bit deeper into that. That would take a little bit longer on a video. These right here, secondary pump, it broadcasts at 5 hertz, I believe. And reason being is, when you look at the input triggers, whenever I start to give it the business on the starting line, that's when it turns off and it don't turn on. That's when it turns on. It doesn't turn off till I go through the trap. So making the stream faster, slower. Same thing, smart fan is turning on an old archaic relay. I don't see a point of it. So it broadcasts like 1 hertz. So it'll actually hit all the items it needs, and then it just turns on like half a second later. So and as you go, you'll learn what these different things do, and you'll understand them, and you'll realize, what do I need to broadcast faster, what do I need to broadcast slower. Say my dump valve, that thing, which one was on? Oh, I enabled that one for some reason, but here we go. Dump valve, that's a coil driven product. That's the dump valve for my transmission. So that one, I had to figure out what it broadcasts best at, and that just took some research and some tuning. So that one broadcasts at 12 hertz, so it's happiest there. So that one's simple as that. Output wise, some of the other outputs are on-off kind of deals. These, you can actually do PWM tables. You can do really a bunch of stuff. The world's kind of yours. You just have to get on the software and figure it out. But this one's a nice time-based one. Kind of same deal. I have another video that I went a little bit more in depth on that I/O module and making different inputs and outputs. But that would be more or less the gist of some of the answers. I mean, some of the questions that I was getting is, what is an ICF? When do I use the CAN bus module versus hooking something directly to the ECM, and how do I go about doing it? So nice review is 3 years into this. I've had that box since I guess 2021. Yeah, it shows 3 years ago on the video. I could look at the exact date, but I've been using it. The data looks great. I use it for a lot of things. I make roughly 100 passes a year, and no problems thus far. I like things to be very consistent. I'm very much a control freak as far as, like, I don't like to run into issues of those kind of things. I don't want to drive a couple 100 miles and break down. So it's been a it's been a blessing to be able to have it work so well. Data streaming wise, reason why it's so important. Let's see. Let's go here. You know, something like this right here. That red is my front wheel speed sensor. That purple is my rear. We hadn't raced on really anything sticky all year, so as you look at it, and you see, I kind of started a little mini wheelie, and then my front wheel speed starts to die. Well, my wheel slip table and different things said, hey, hold on, partner. You're starting to do a little wheelie, and it pulls a little bit of timing. It's just a little blip, and it just keeps going, and ran a personal best there. So having nice and clean data is important. on that, so I tried to drag it, but that didn't work out too well. Here you go. Because I like to log at a pretty detailed rate, and it's always still super smooth. So let's see here. And then yeah, got a bunch of different things in the IO. A lot of them aren't checked because I just like to go through the log and actually just look and read things and see from there. This would be another good thing on a tangent, is building your own custom channels to be able to look at stuff and tune more effectively, but same thing. That's a whole deal in itself. But yeah, that's all I have for you right there. Is these are ICS, individual configurations. Some things you'll have to do on those. These are the ones that you make custom IO things with, and you'll want to use those for different things as well. And this pin map right here is the stuff that goes to the ECU. And then anything that is on the CAN IO module, that's one thing I forgot to cover. When you're in these CAN settings, you'll actually select it. You'll select what input and output goes there. Select CAN ID. It's a sticker on your CAN bus module, so you can't steal somebody else's number and just do it. Select broadcast rates, sensor settings, all these different items, and go from there. They've got great instructions that it comes with, or pull them off the Holley site. Read it, download the software, play with it, and see from there. I think it's great. I want to step up to a Dominator eventually, but thus far this has delayed that, and been great.